More than 400 law enforcement agencies now have a simple but effective tool to save lives in domestic violence cases. It is a checklist of questions to ask victims. In Maryland, deaths dropped by 30%. On average in this country, 3 or more women are killed each day by husbands or boyfriends. Anna Werner looks at a project in another state that's also showing promising results. Anna, good morning.
Good morning, Nora. And the question researchers and police wanted to answer in Oklahoma: could a low-cost, simple assessment help connect domestic violence victims to the help they need and reduce or even stop their deaths?
The reporting party stated that he choked her.
It's the second domestic violence call this night for Oklahoma City police officer Brandy May.
I'm going to ask you some questions. I just want you to answer honestly, okay?
This time, it's a mother of 2 whose ex-boyfriend came back to her home to threaten her.
It's been terrorizing. Not able to sleep. My kids have bad dreams. It's scary living this way.
But tonight, Officer May uses a new tool called a lethality assessment checklist. 16 questions she asks to help identify victims who are likely to be killed.
Has Kenneth threatened to kill you or your children?
Me.
You? So yes. Do you think that Kenneth might try to kill you? You do? Okay. Does Kenneth have a gun, or can he easily get one?
Easily get one.
He can easily get one.
The more times a victim answers yes, the more likely domestic violence may lead to her death. The checklist was designed by a researcher at Johns Hopkins who analyzed thousands of domestic violence deaths to identify key risk factors.
In 4 years, you've seen 8 women killed.
Captain Kim Flowers heads the domestic violence unit, which has been using the checklist for 3 years.
What is it, do you think, about the checklist that can be so effective?
Well, I think, number one, it opens the door to the officers to see what's going on in that home. And number two, the victim actually realizes that, she's at a high risk to being killed.
I think it makes them take a second look at their life and their relationship. It makes them question in front of someone that's a complete stranger, being an officer, what's going on in their relationship and how their significant other is really treating them.
Police make sure to ask victims, for example, whether their partner has ever choked them. Research found men who choked their partners were 10 times more likely to eventually kill them.
Yes, this is Officer May with the Oklahoma City Police Department. I have a victim here who is screening in. She answered yes to the first 3 questions on the lethality assessment.
Many victims never call for help. This woman was found to be at high risk after answering yes to 3 questions. She was then immediately connected with a domestic violence hotline.
I've never had anyone answer all the questions that she answered as yes.
The only way you're gonna leave is by getting help from the police, or they're gonna kill you. That's the only way you're gonna leave. Or you end up killing them.
Tonight, the checklist convinced this woman she needed to head for shelter with her children once again.
My plans are just to leave, to get away from here and get some sleep finally, and in the morning have some kind of plan. But for tonight, my plan is just to get away.
Now, the National Institute of Justice found women who were identified through this checklist as high danger were safer and more likely to reach out to services 7 months later than those who were not assessed. Nora.
Why is it important to make the phone call in the moment?
Because researchers and police find that the next day, things have cooled down. The man is apologetic. The wounds, if a woman has wounds, are less painful. She feels like, well, it's not as urgent, and the moment's kind of lost.
I love this idea of a checklist, because I'll bet in many cases they never even thought of it until they start answering those questions. Put it all together.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing, Gail. Sort of as they're answering the questions on the checklist, they start to process, apparently, what's really happening. One woman said to one of the police officers, "How do you know my life so well?"
Oh, after the checklist, wow. Anna, thank you so much. And if you'd like to see more of what our crew found on the streets of Oklahoma City, we have a closer look at the lethality assessment at CBSthismorning.com.